So this is another non-food video. Either you're tired of them or you keep tuning in for more information. And I apologize that I'm redundant. A lot of times I repeat the same stuff from my last video. So the 29th, which is just around the corner, I'm supposed to see my pain physician because remember I told you I got off the pain medicine. So I'm probably going to have to reschedule that because I'm still taking the Ativan and the sleeping pills, which is helping a little bit, but not really much. I cannot remember the last time I was this depressed. It is really as if the medicine that they're giving me is making me more depressed. The anxiety is from the plot of the land that I don't own with the house I told you about and the high taxes. But that doesn't depress me. That's anxiety. It's been over 2 months since my boyfriend left, so that's what started the depression. There's so much stuff I want to share. There's so much stuff, but I want to make sure I'm in the right frame of mind when I share what I share. Yes, I'm in another bedroom of the house. My back, my degenerative disc is hurting so bad. I've already taken quite a bit of Tylenol. I can't take any Aleve or Advil because the doctors think I have an ulcer. I want to sleep so bad that I got back on the mirtazapine. The medicine I told you that I slept like an insane amount, I took a fourth of a one. It doesn't do anything. I don't know what is going on with my body. It's I don't. You know who needs to see all these videos is my fucking doctors. And my stomach, oh my god, you would not believe it is just cramping and cramping and cramping. I had a dairy-free yogurt and a half of a banana, and after I ate that, oh my goodness, it's just cramping and cramping. I cannot believe this is going on. The diarrhea, all this has been over a month. The anxiety, just, I'm dealing with so much between the pain in my back and neck, the anxiety. And the Ativan, it's not even working now. Like, it was working for a little bit. Like, now I take one and it's just like barely does shit for my anxiety. It does calm down my stomach a little bit, but I'm so overwhelmed. And the position and where I am at in my life, I didn't ask to be put in this position. And this position made me overwhelmed when I was put in this position like almost 10 years ago. And 10 years later, I found out I don't even own the land in which the house I live in. Like I said on my other video, Every time people say my life is going to get better, wait 10 years later, and 10 years later, it's worse. It hasn't stayed the same, it just got worse. I don't want to say what I'm thinking will probably wind up happening to me or could very well happen to me because I don't want to curse myself any more than when I'm already cursed. And do I think I'm cursed? I don't think I know. I know I'm cursed. I know I'm cursed. The things that was told to me growing up. I hate to be a Bible thumper, and I'm not. But it says in the Bible, out of your own mouth, what you say to someone is either blessing them or cursing them. You don't have to put a hex on someone and cast a spell on someone to curse them. And kids are very impressionable. When you curse a child with what you say to them with your words, don't be surprised if later on when they grow up, their life unfolds exactly the way you said to them with the curse that you put on them. And that's what I'm living right now. I'm so tired of people telling me be positive, be positive. You know, I it's like I almost want to slap those people, and I mean slap them hard. It's fine to be positive, but you have to face reality. I knew a guy, and he was very religious, and I've shared this story before. I'm telling you, I got some good stories for y'all, true stories, and not just bad stuff, but crazy, funny, weird shit. You know, but he was really, really religious. I knew his girlfriend, I guess you'd say, and then she introduced me to him, and they lived with each other. But he kept giving to the church and saying I'm negative and be positive, and he was always behind on his bills. He finally got a good paying job, and he just spent it all on having a ministry. Rented a very expensive vehicle to pick people up, rented out this building. And I'm like, you're blowing your money. You need to invest your money. He's like, ye of little faith, and you're being negative. I'm like, just because you're making good money right now, let's say you're making $3,000 a month, and I give you a job making 8,000 a month. You would be smart to live on the 3,000 that you originally had, and put the other 5,000 in investments that are gonna benefit you, like the S&P 500. It's guaranteed pretty much, for the most part, to double every 10 years. But yeah, he rented out this big, his money just was going quick. And I told him, I said, you don't have job security with this job. He's like, you're being negative. I'm like, it's a job that, is more in the summertime when the wintertime comes. And sure enough, it started getting cold, and they let him go. And all the money he had blown. And then his truck broke down, so he didn't get it fixed. And instead of paying his water and electricity bill, he gave more money to the church. And the thing is, I'm warning him. Like, I'm telling him. His name was Steve. I was like, Steve, like, he's like, you're being negative. I'm like, I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic. You're calling me negative, and I'm saying I'm dealing in the real world. You don't pay your water bill, they're going to turn it off. You tell me that's negative, that's reality. So anyway, make a long story short, he took his paycheck, and he would pretty much give it to the church because he was taught that prosperity preaching, that I guess the more you give, the more God's gonna, like, you're gonna make a deal with God. Like, if there is a God, He works that way. Like, God doesn't see motive. Kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Uh, if you really care about love someone, you don't, you can't bribe them to get something in return. True love is, I do for you and I don't expect anything back. But he was like, if I give to the church, therefore I'm giving to God, and then God's going to bless me. And sorry, but I don't believe that's how it works. So they turned his water off. And I was staying there for a while because I was having issues with my family. And we wound up pooping in containers, like big round buckets. And I had an idea. I was like, why don't we get some trash bags and put it there, and then take the top of the commode off, the round donut, and put it on top. And like, brilliant idea. And then they had a gym membership for a week, and they would go to another gym, get the free week, so they could shower. And he worked at an apartment complex, so he showered at the apartment complex. But his girlfriend, her, and I would go to the gym to shower. And then he would get paid. I'm like, Steve, you need to pay your water bill. So he would pay last month's water bill, but not this month's. So he would still be behind. Plus, he would have a late fee for this month. And I would tell him, like, Steve, you still have to pay last month's and this month and the late fee. You're only paying last month's and not this month's and the late fee. So now you can next month you're gonna have to pay next month and then this month and the late fee on top of that late fee. And this is a grown man. This is a grown man that won't listen to me. He's not a little kid. He's older than me. I also said, when you subscribe to my channel, you might see more of my house. So let me tell you, because I think my phone's going to die. See, not all everything is me crying about my depression and stuff and my OCD and my horrible anxiety, even though it's there. There's some interesting, weird, strange, odd, unique stories along with it. So, anyway. So then it got to the point where he was giving more money to the church, because he was like, well, if I give more money, then God will bless me and stuff. And I was like, dude, like, seriously, pay your damn bills. So then he didn't pay his electricity. Well, guess what happens when you don't pay your electricity? You sit in the dark. And I told Steve he was actually buying the house on a mortgage. I said, Steve, if you don't start paying your water, electricity, I was like, what's next? You're not going to pay your mortgage? Then he didn't pay his mortgage. I'm like, dude, you had a job making like an insane, when I say an insane amount of money, like, I can't remember how much it was per month, but when he told me, I was like, you're making how much a month? Like, he could have put that money aside. He could have paid his truck off. If he would have listened to me and invested his money or just stuck it in the bank, this would have never happened. So he lost his house. He lost his house. And I told him, I was like, dude, I was like, you lost your house because you didn't pay your mortgage. He's like, I lost my house because God has a bigger house ready in store for me. Okay, God has a mansion for me. I'm like, oh goodness. I was like, let me guess. And you're going to give more money to the church, so you'll be blessed with a bigger mansion. Yeah. He wound up losing that house. And the last time I visited them, well, not the last time, but after that, they were in a little tiny apartment in the ghetto. I was like, is this the mansion that you were wanting, Steve? Because this will never be yours. You're renting. People just don't have common sense. But what sucks is he lost a house because he didn't pay his bills. I lost 3 homes and I was never behind on a bill ever in my entire life. You hear me? Look at me. I've never been behind on a bill ever in my entire life. And yet I lost 3 homes. So then, my goodness, so much shit has happened. That girl, though, that my friend, the one that was dating him, she had screwed me over so many times. Her mom wasn't feeling good, and I drove her ass. She was supposed to go on a bus all the way to Missouri, and I felt bad for her, so I took her in my car that was old and falling apart. I got off this guy for $500. The windows wouldn't roll down completely, so it was always hot in that car, and the AC didn't work. I drove her to Missouri. She said she was going to help me out with gas. She never did. And then she complained on the way. Like, I wanted to go. I was hungry, so, like, I would go to... She would be asleep. And I would go to Taco Bueno to get me some food. And then I would wake her up. I'm like, I'm about ready to go into Taco Bueno. Do you want something? She goes, I don't want Taco Bueno. Why are you taking us here? I was like, well, then tell me. She goes, I want to go to a Whataburger. I'm like, we can do both. I was like, Whataburger's right up the road. And she would just get all sassy with me and shit. And I'm like, you said we were going to take turns driving to Missouri, and yet you haven't even just offered to drive. You've just been sleeping in the back. You haven't given me a penny for gas. And then you're bitching at me because I'm going to a different food place. Now, this was a long time ago when my diet was different, okay? Someone's at the door. So, speaking of religion, the Mormons are knocking on my door and ask if they want to come in. So, I'm not going to say no. So, there's going to be a part 2 to this video on what happened on our trip. I'm telling you, stay with me, people, because I got some stories to tell you. Like how I peed on the bus, and just crazy, weird shit. Maybe I should start telling you about that. I think you've heard enough of my problems. I'm holding back the tears because well, I just am. But there'll be a part 2 to this. I'll explain to you what had happened on how she kicked my car and called me a faggot, and she got violent with me on this road trip. Lots of stuff for me to share. Maybe this will help me write my book once I get it out there on Videoland, YouTube world, whatever. Because I am 48 and my memory's getting bad. But I can assure you, none of this is made up. My life has been too crazy to need to make... Why would I make something up? So, stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to go see what the Mormons, why they're here.